Welcome to Dear Alice, a lifestyle approach to interior design.
Hello everyone, welcome to Dear Alice. We are going to be talking about the elements of a well-designed patio today.
It's that season.
Oh, it
so
is.
beautiful.
It is the
So
season.
excited.
What's you guys' favorite season? Do you love summer? Or are you guys more spring and fall people?
I'm fall.
Yeah.
I mean, although my
Yeah.
birthday's in summer, like I love fall.
Yeah.
Multiple reasons.
I used to I love fall. I love the colors and everything, but I do feel the decline of the weather going into fall. I love the leaves and but then we're going to get snow. It's inevitable that we're going to get snow.
Pump the brakes.
It's like winter's coming. Winter's coming.
Yeah.
And so there is some apprehension, but spring, the last few years, I just love spring. And all my babies have been born in the spring.
Yeah.
And so there's just this new life. And I'm always anxious to see what's going to live this spring, what's going to sprout, in the garden. And just, I don't know, there's just maternal instincts of myself that's just I love the rebirth. I love the flowers in the spring. I love lilacs. I love the tulips. I love, just all these peonies. I feel like my feed is just a peony, feed right now.
Your algorithm is only serving peonies.
Interior design is shut down. It's just the garden. So
that's funny. If I were to guess, I didn't know that, but if I were to guess, I would say your spring. But also your favorite color's always been green, and the world comes back to life here in Utah and turns green.
I know.
Yeah.
I hate my house in the winter. I'm on a farmland, land,
Yeah.
but so that green saves it.
Yeah.
When it turns green, I'm I like you again. Hang out here and not
Oh,
try
I know
and
why I
escape
did. Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Acre of land in Highland is a lot cuter when it's green. So
Yes.
I would say spring. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love this weather right now. What about you?
I've always loved summer, but I think it's because I have a summer birthday.
Leo.
And growing up in school, I had one of those birthdays that you couldn't celebrate during the school year, and so my mom could never bring cupcakes in for the class, and
I hated that too.
I never got celebrated, and I never got to feel special during school, right?
Yeah.
But I always got to have a fun birthday because we could always come in your swimsuit. We're gonna run through the sprinklers. Do you guys remember when that was a birthday party?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm gonna bring that one back for my kids next year.
Yes.
Cold or not.
So I always think about the summer birthday parties and the rainbows and the bubbles and all of the outdoor wet grass and those things. Of course, global warming wasn't such a thing when I was a little girl, so I don't remember it being 100 degrees. But I've just always been I'm a summer girl because my birthday's in the summer. I don't know.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. So today's podcast is kind of all about this time of year. And as we sort of lay out the elements of a well-designed patio, we are designers and creators and visual people, but we still really believe in the power of the complete sensory experience. So scents, sounds, they're mood makers out in a patio. And with summer entertaining in full swing, I want to know, what is your favorite playlist for the summer? You're having people come over for a party. You're having people come over to run through the sprinklers. I'm just kidding. In their swimsuits.
It's going to be my birthday
as
party this year.
adults. Yeah. What's your playlist? Do you guys have an impromptu, I just barely had, I found out my brother and sister-in-law were coming from California. And I had a few hours to get ready because you know how men don't always communicate? My husband and his brother didn't talk. And my husband's surprise, they're coming. What do you want to do? And I'm grill. And let me put on a playlist really quick. And so it was this impromptu, I'm rusty. I haven't done it yet this season. I got to get ready. What am I going to do? It felt like I was having a quiz on the spot. And I was I know. The Steve Cordnoy master playlist, right? His master class. You guys know Steve Cordnoy. You probably follow him on Instagram if you love interiors, but he's in Australia, down under, and he throws these master classes. They're several $1,000s for a ticket, and you get to go and see his farm, and he styles beautifully on his Instagram all the time, and his playlists are just kind of classical and Italian, and you feel very chic and like a tastemaker that you put all this music together.
Mm-hmm.
You just hit play. He's already done all the work. And so I started cooking. I put that on. I was in a good mood. It changed everything for me.
It tasted better. Everything.
Yeah,
It's
for
on
real.
right
Yes.
when the music's right.
Right.
It really
It
is.
feels more like an art and like a dance. It feels really good.
Less of a chore. It's we're doing something.
Less of a chore.
Yeah,
I also heard,
The
I also,
backdrop.
Yes. And I heard on a drive-in, somebody was saying that, I was listening to Paloma Contreras on a podcast, and she was saying in her office, they always have Nancy Meyer's Kitchen, that playlist going. It's 25 hours long.
That's crazy.
So you could just play it for days and never hear the same song twice. So that's a pro tip too.
Yeah.
You guys could check out Nancy Meyer's Kitchen. I think they said Nancy Meyer's has several playlists, so you could always search it.
Did they say like the reason the kitchen one is just...
They didn't, but we all need to just
bangers?
like listen to it.
No,
Yeah.
bangers.
It's a lot of
Top
like
tens.
older music, not like current top hits or anything. It's
Mhm.
all like older stuff, but it puts you in a mood.
I
Yeah.
love that so much.
Yeah. What's your summer playlist?
I will say, like, my husband, he's really, really good at making playlists. And I think that was like one of our love languages too, like sending each other playlists when we were dating.
Mixtapes.
Mixtapes, like CDs, Napster, remember that? Hey, I dated him after Napster, but anyway, but you know the thing. And so like he just is always sending me playlists, and it's kind of like little love notes. And so honestly, and like they're all songs that I haven't heard of because he's always listening. So it's always like music that I haven't heard of that I'm just like, excellent. I feel current. So I love listening to like the Steve Cornoy, like, especially if I'm by myself too and I'm just like cooking and I'm in slow motion. But when I have people over, there's usually a wide variety of people. It's not just one genre of people. We're kind of a mixtape of a group all the time. You know that. Like,
totally.
That's just like my style.
Yeah.
And so like his music kind of hits like most of the people, you know, where you have a lot of different genres, but it all feels fresh and new. So there's something that I think is like really fun about that. I'm on Apple Music, darn it, but I should put one in Spotify so it'd be easier to share.
Yes, Tom
Because
makes
they're fun.
the best playlist. He made us a playlist for a trip we went down to in Scottsdale, and I'd be like, "What am Shazamming like every other song?" Because she's on Apple and I'm not, and so I can't just like take the playlist. Yeah, it's a real big divide between
on
our
that,
friendship.
Apple. Come on,
chasm.
But
let's
you know
integrate
what?
some stuff.
Shazam connects us, so
It's true.
I'm always Shazamming, and I actually make a playlist for every season of my life because I found that each year felt like a blur to me. And so I can go back and listen to like, 2020 summer, like this was my vibe and this is what I was feeling. So I can go back and feel those feels. And it's been really fun. It helps me remember my life more in seasons instead of the blurs of years as one in their 40s, you know, starts to just everything blurs together. So it helps my memories too. I think sensory things help bring those memories back alive. So if you do make a particular playlist for a party or a season, it will help you remember your summer birthday or that 4th of July party you threw or whatever. What's your summer playlist go to, Corey?
I typically just like create a playlist and just put a bunch of songs that I'm like digging at the time.
Yeah.
So mine is filled up. Have you guys ever listened to College Dropout by Kanye West?
So good.
It's his best album of all time. It's so good. I've been listening to that again. Came out in 2004. It's amazing.
Awesome.
I'm going to see the Red Hot Chili Peppers tonight, so I've been listening to them.
What?
Yeah.
But so good.
Yeah, so I'm super excited. Is it? Yeah, it's at whatever it's called now.
something different.
You're
It'll
going to
always
have
be
a
something.
blast.
Yeah, it's going to be so
Best
fun. I'm going with
time.
some buddies from high school. It's going to be, it's
What are you
gonna
going
be
to wear? I'm just kidding.
awesome. Yeah, I don't know.
I hope you wear
I'll
like
call
an
Jeff and
ethnic
see what
piece,
we'll
just, like,
match.
Rip your like white t-shirt to your chest.
Yeah.
Shirts off and, like,
Shirtless. I'm going to go, that's what I'm going to do.
bring it back.
That's funny. But
That's
as far as like newer, I put a couple newer tracks on there. The Post Malone and Morgan Wallen song is
Good.
really good.
Yeah.
I had some help, I think it's called. And then, have you guys heard that? I mean, I'm sure you have. Everywhere, $1 Million Baby by Tommy Richmond.
I think Tom downloaded that.
Yeah, it's super.
need to
It's
go
like really
hear it.
funky. It's super cool. Check it out. I
Oh.
mean, everyone's doing dances to it on TikTok and wherever
Yeah.
those people do that.
It's hashtag trending.
Yes, yeah, but it's a dope track. It's really
Cool,
cool.
cool.
It's like a little lo-fi, which like means like it's not super polished sounding, which
Yeah.
has a really cool vibe to it.
Yeah, cool groove.
I know something that Tom like told me that he was doing like recently too is going back to like old albums that we used to hear, like Smashing Pumpkins or any of those that like you only listen to the songs. Like you had the album, we all had the CD, we knew the cover art, but you would only listen to the ones that were popular. It's like I've been going back and listening to like all the tracks to be like, that's a hidden gem. I never knew that one.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm like, I've never heard this song from this like old album. He's like, yeah. He's like, I found it. It's really good. And so anyway, yeah, music. It's a thing.
Mhm.
It's a vibe. And it's really, as far as like, it totally does set the tone for outside. And everyone has their own style, just like interior design or any exterior design, whatever it is. And so your music should kind of match the party. It should match your exterior. It should match the mood and the people that are coming.
Totally.
But for you, as you are like, I think what we want to talk to you about today is really setting the stage for what does your exterior experience look like, so that you can throw a party that feels authentically you. And so we're going to show you some of the base rules that we kind of tend to figure out what your style is outside. Rules that I think help you know what to do and how to buy, and then why it works and how it kind of creates this backdrop.
Yeah,
So
this kind of came in. Sue and I did a live Instagram a couple weeks ago, and somebody asked the question, okay, on outdoor spaces, do you buy the whole set, or do you kind of do it like you do the interior, and do you like mix and match? And so we're like, this is a really good question. And while we're going to give the answer on this live, and it's going to be 2 sentences long, we have so much to unpack.
Yeah.
So we do want to tell you how we think about putting together a well-designed patio. And we've kind of got these broken out into like 5 elements of a really great patio. So starting with number 1, we have iron or wicker anchor pieces. So I think for me, I feel like you should buy the set of upholstery and never buy the tables,
Yeah.
because then it looks like a set,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It was interesting during the live, Jess and I, we got to the same answer at the end, but they're like, do you buy a matching set? And I said yes, and you said no. And
Yeah.
then we're just like, we were trying to say the same thing at the same time,
Uh-huh.
and saying that like there are certain things that like we want to keep uniform.
Yeah.
We want those base upholstery pieces with the same upholstery to be consistent in the entire yard.
Yeah.
We want to feel white cushions, and we want to feel, whether it's iron, whether it's wicker, whether it's teak, we want to feel that same framework on the big pieces.
Yep.
Like you said, we're going to throw in our accents with our tables
Yeah.
so that we don't like look like a set from the RC Willie, you know?
Yeah. I also feel like the longer I do design, the more I'm starting to really love the editor's eye of restraint, pulling back, not being such a decorator in that I'm trying to really mix and match and come up with some special formula that's so tricky.
Yeah.
I feel like the landscape is the hero in so many of the projects that we get to work on, and that I want the restraint when it comes to furniture, and having the upholstery match, having the cushions match. You might have that odd chair in the mix, or a little special this or that, but for the most part, the large pieces, I do want the restraint of those feeling continuous, because then you can get kind of fun and funky with your pots, which we'll get into, and your plantings and all of that, and just let all that green living organic matter be heroic, and then let this furniture have kind of a visual rest, if you will, and have just like the strength of something in common there. Feels good to my eye.
Yeah, I like repetition.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and familiarity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it feels really good.
So when would you use iron versus wicker?
Yeah, so I think this is kind of a personality test,
Me too.
because
What are you?
yeah.
Right.
Because the iron has been a thing, and we always know when we're working with a client, we're doing the interiors, like we know who they are, if they're iron or if they're wicker. And obviously the wicker is the more laid back, humble, cottagey, homey.
Grandma chic a
Is
little
it
bit.
like
Yeah.
more leaning more towards traditional?
The iron is definitely traditional, but the iron,
I think it's French traditional. Like
Yes.
it's like those European. I feel like
Yes.
the wicker is like Southern.
Yeah.
I
yes,
feel very
That's-
Southern progress about it.
Yeah.
yes,
You know,
agreed.
so.
Yeah. And the iron is like this really lovely contrast of black and white. So it's crisp. It's a fine line. It's kind of like Sue doing a sketch where you've got this fine iron line, a little ball on top, white cushions, and it's got a little bit of formality to it, which is really nice. And so
Structured stretchers and stuff along the base, and like maybe a little gold matching top or like finial somewhere. But
Yeah,
Yeah.
it always feels
Really-
like whimsical too. There's something like whimsical
Yeah.
about it that I'm like, wow, that feels like
I will
wanna hang
say it might be a hair more feminine. Do we dare say that?
yeah, I think so. I think the masculine thing we can get into teak too,
'Cause
there's like teak
There's
furniture.
massing when it comes to outdoor furniture, where I think the French sort of black iron frames with the white cushions feels more like finer lines.
It'll look good
And-
versus like
Yeah, it's just, it's got a formality to it. And so, if you want this more formal French look, or if you want this more laid back, you want to lay on a sectional and take a nap kind of thing. Where with the iron, it almost feels more upright and put together, and like people are getting dressed up to come over for your garden party. Exactly.
You need a hat.
Or with the wicker, you could be like in denim, a t-shirt, and come in with bare feet or flip flops.
Country playlist right there.
Yeah. So you know who you are, you know what style of home you have, and you know how you want to live outdoors. But these are like, just for coming up with a simple list of like 5 great elements, it generally tends to be one or the other. Now we know there's teak as well, which is going to give us that sort of California laid back, beachy feel. Also, which can make people that are hyper formal really mad because they want this to look perfect all the time. And teak is not, it's a living finish. So it's not going to be perfect all the time.
Yeah. You have to, or you have to like, re-oil it or season it, whatever you want to call it. And probably take it out of the weather when it's winter if you live in,
Yes. Yeah. I will say that for all frames too, like with your outdoor furniture, if you want it to like last till next season, get the covers. I don't know if that's on another spot on our list, but get the covers. Like if it doesn't come with a cover when you buy these pieces, there's like, if you go on Amazon, if you just look up, exterior patio furniture covers, there's companies that you give them the dimensions, they will make covers for you, for your pieces. And we've had so many people that haven't done that. And then they come back to us the next year and they're like, there's a crack in my table. And I'm like, did you put the cover on? They're like, no. And like those things are just going to be exposed to the elements, especially if you live in like a really dominant season space like we do in Utah. So make sure, like, even if you're in California, anytime you're not using them, honestly, put the covers on. It's just smart.
It's like your swimming pool. People always have the pool cover on unless it's in use. Yeah.
Junk's going to get in there if you
Definitely.
don't. The sun's going to bake it.
And you don't really have, most people don't have the luxury of taking their patio furniture and putting it in the garage. For winter, they have to leave it out. And so putting a cover on it is the easiest thing you can do.
Completely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good point.
Right.
We have when to use iron and kind of when to use wicker. I wanted to just quickly admit that I have both. I have iron on my front porch because my front porch is a covered porch and it's smaller, and those pieces are smaller pieces. And then wicker on the back porch because I love to sunset, but I want to do it like lounging, laying down. It's really comfortable. So I do have a little bit more formality and smaller scale in the front of my house. It's like, what do they say? Business in the front, party in the back.
Yeah, of course.
So I do have that going on, but I'm also prototyping and testing things at my house.
Totally.
I think my house is a design laboratory. So I'm not saying you should do it, but I did want to point out that you can get smaller scale things in iron. And so if you do have a front porch and you want to get a pair of chairs or something, or a little love seat, you might have an easier time doing that with a finer frame. Then the wicker is usually a great big track arm, and there's a lot more massing that comes in wicker.
And wicker, I think when we say wicker too, I think people often think of just like grandma's furniture. Like the wicker that you have, I would almost classify it as a woven. Like it's just kind of like this heavy woven. It is more of a woven. And it feels like kind of more tracked arm. It doesn't have curly things, and it's not like coming apart like, an old cane chair or something.
Yeah.
So like there's a difference. Like if it just feels like it's woven, like bamboo or something, but it's resonant, solidified. That's what Jess has. And so I think the massing of that still gets along with occasional iron pieces.
Yeah.
So I think that's okay.
Yeah.
But
definitely.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. That's great. Okay. So light versus dark wicker. What are we choosing today? I mean, I'm like a medium kind of grade brown sort of thing. And mine's actually been on my back patio for almost a decade. It still looks great. I actually don't have covers, but I take all the cushions off and store those in my garage for the winter. And then my wicker frame, it must be polypropylene or something because it's just crushing. It loves it out there. It's fine.
Slay, girl.
Yeah.
Slay.
I've gone through like 3 different outdoor rugs, but that thing's holding strong. So I'm a big fan.
I think, again, medium tone is just like really easy. Whether you're like more in the gray tones or more in the honey tones, it kind of depends on like what your aesthetic is, right? Because like we've seen both be successful. As far as like really dark wovens, I haven't really done a lot of dark wovens because if I'm going to do dark, I'm going to do iron.
Yeah. So, agreed.
Yeah.
I'm not a dark woven person either.
No.
It kind of takes the laid back out of the
Totally.
patio.
Takes my chill away, you know?
Yeah. I also think it's like a black
Crushes the
car.
There's
Yeah.
salt in the game. I don't like it.
Yeah.
So,
It's
okay.
kind of like a dark car too. It will show anything that's wrong with it. So you're like, I don't want to know anything's wrong with this.
No, I'm just
Makes me
gonna-
feel
I'm gonna
better.
blur my eyes and go sunset. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, okay, yeah. So stay to the mediums. I think that's great. 'Kay.
Yeah, agreed. Okay,
Okay.
let's get into what color cushions
Okay.
to do. If you guys haven't bought anything yet, I love a white cushion.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
It's just so crisp. It lets the landscape do its thing. And I feel like with the beige cushion, it looks like you bought it at Home Depot.
Or it looks like it's dirty from last year and it's been sun rotting
Ew.
without a cover.
Ew.
Ew.
Yeah.
Gross.
I hate that.
Yeah.
It just
so-
feels like it's
Don't do
in,
that.
it feels like it's in stock
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah,
You know what I
totally.
mean? Like this is what all of Middle America wants is this
Like-
beige cushion. Yeah, and you never know if the beige is like too orange or no, I don't know. It just feels like it might not even get along with your exteriors.
Yeah.
So I think the white looks like you hired a designer. And here's the thing, you don't need to be nervous about it because it's outdoor fabric.
Door, guys.
And it's bleach cleanable. Don't you do like a 5% bleach solution? And you can scrub anything out. Give them the testimonial.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So we've had like clients that, of course, they're just like, they have kids, they're living in these spaces, and they're just like, really, can I clean this? Are you sure? One thing you just want to make sure that like with these cushion covers that you can zip them off so that you can launder them and take them out of like the foam insert out of it. Because the foam insert, the fun thing about outdoor, and it's necessary that you only do outdoor furniture outside, because people have tried to be like, oh, I'm going to put this interior thing outside. The cushions are not the same. Cushions on outdoor furniture are meant for water to go all the way through and release all the way through so it doesn't get trapped and moldy. So we've learned that the hard way in occasions, but back to the white cushions. We have a client down in St. George, Utah. St. George is on the southern end of their state, and it's a desert. There's a lot of red dust and mud, and it's beautiful, but like the winds pick up and you can kind of get a lot of red dust everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So she was really worried about doing all this white furniture on her exterior yard. And so we sent her a bunch of samples of these like Sunbrella fabrics that are for performance, and we're just like, play with it, dump stuff on it, throw it in the mud, and then try and get it clean. And it stood the test of time. We sent her like 5 different samples, and she thrashed them, and they all came out clean. So I'm not going to say that all white furniture is created equally. You know, make sure it's like it's Sunbrella or it's a brand that'll like back it up. But it is doable, and that was really, I think that was a good lesson for all of us to like learn that. Yeah, she gave it, you know, the old kick the tire test, you know.
So would you say if there's a nervous mom that's like, what about Cheeto hands and ketchup? Like that's going to be the same as red dirt. You can get it out.
You can get it out.
Yeah.
It's bleach cleanable. You can like throw it in the wash, you know, or like you can even get it professionally cleaned and they can spot it for you. But like it's not like you can't live without it.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, say it
totally.
correctly. But yeah.
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 Great.
And the look of it is just so good. And especially like we just installed that house, and we installed all these pieces in this desert, and there's nothing more beautiful than seeing whether you're green or whether you're red desert, any landscape that we've ever done the white cushion in, it looks so good. It looks clean, and it's so inviting, and it's fresh, and it's a win. 10 out of 10.
It doesn't
Yeah.
feel hot either when you look at it. You know how sometimes it's just so hot? It just feels crisp in the middle. It's like an
I
oasis.
don't want to sit on a charcoal gray cushion
Oh,
sectional.
no.
Just bake my
That's
tush.
like
That sounds
after 3
awful.
years, it's going to be 3 shades lighter too. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? White is
That's
going
a
to,
good
great
point.
yeah, white's going to stay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
And nothing's bomb proof. I will say that. Like, of course, if you like did the absolute worst of this thing, it might not last. But just like take care of your stuff.
Yeah. Don't use Sharpie on it.
Yeah. Not cool. Not cool. That will not come out with a bleach pen.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I tried.
In the 5 elements of a
Yes.
really great patio, for number 3, we have down jute rug.
I think we just want to talk about outdoor rugs,
Yes.
like just in general.
Yeah.
We love an outdoor rug, especially like when you're outside, like by the pool. Again, this home that we just installed had like this like really pretty limestone that was like everywhere, and it was beautiful, but like I don't necessarily want to lounge on that. You want to have rugs on your outside. And I would say the same thing that we do for the inside is to go as big as you can, just to cover up as much as that surface, just so you can actually enjoy it outside.
Mhm.
And when we were out in this space, we did a couple different wovens, but our very, very favorite was these ones that they looked just like a really thick jute rug. You know, some of them were like indoor, outdoor, polypropylene, But like to your point, you said that like you've used jute on your porch right now.
Corey and I
so
are
has
both
Corey.
using jute rugs.
Tell me
Yeah.
about that.
Mine gets soaked all the time.
Okay.
And I'm just like, I shake it off and just throw it in the sun, and it's totally
Natural
fine.
materials.
It's a
Yeah.
flat weave, so it's like really tight.
Yeah.
I mean, it does have, fringe on it and stuff, and it looks like it's been outside, but it totally functions great. It's been awesome.
Yeah.
And I have I have a 10 by 14 wool rug outside. That's outside from April till November.
That's amazing.
So yeah, and I just roll it up and throw it in, the garage for the season, but it's so nice to have outside.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah. I had a jute rug, I think in my entryway. So it'd been like 6x9 or something like that. And I was tired of it. So I was like, I wonder if I could throw this on the covered porch under this grouping area. And it's been out there for years now, and it still looks exactly the same. It is a covered porch, but it dries out great. It's a natural fiber. It was grown outdoors. Like it grew up outside, right? And then it became a jute rug. And now in its third life, it's like hanging out back outside again on my porch. And it looks great, but I do think the look of a jute rug just feels really natural outside. You can get into a lot of tricky patterns and colors and stuff like that, but I think creating a really natural looking environment just feels right outside.
It's not competing for attention. I mean, like you said, the landscaping, what's happening in this like vast backdrop is the big hero.
Yeah.
It's not the rug. And so,
Yeah. So if you
totally
don't want to
agree.
use jute, obviously Corey and I are both kind of like using leftovers for ours, which is why we dare do them, because they're done inside our house. Then I would say when you're looking for an outdoor rug, I think get the look of jute. It might be a polypropylene or a polyester or some type of synthetic, but something that looks as organic and natural as possible is what you want to train your eye to look for.
it has a little bit of a thickness. I noticed that with the pieces that we just installed.
That's key.
The ones that like looked a little bit thicker didn't look like a flat piece of paper that most outdoor rugs look like. It was more comfortable to walk on, and it looked more high-end, like woven caterpillars all put together in this gorgeous like rectangle. It was so pretty, and it had like a little fringe on the end, and it just felt like an interior detail brought outside for me to enjoy, and it felt like a luxury. Felt very luxurious. So definitely pay attention to the thickness.
So good.
Okay.
I love
I love
that. Number 4 in our 5 elements of a really great patio, we have down our pots. So this is where the landscaping comes into play, and people are often like, what color of pots do I get for outside to be able to get those in my covered patios or outdoor patios by the pool, or just around in that grouping to sort of bring it to life?
Yeah.
What are our favorites, Sue?
Oh, gosh. Yeah, we usually go to like a nursery where we help the client kind of figure this out depending on like the exterior color of their house. If they're like down in St. George, that home was like pretty light, it's a little bit, of that plastered finish. And so with stone, relatively light, and she was colorful. So we actually did green, which was really, really fun.
Love.
So that's not everybody's like go-to. She liked color, and everything else was relatively neutral, but green is what you see in all your landscaping. And so it felt like a really natural color, and I was really happy about it because we also saw green in her umbrella and green in just these other like little details in her actual garden stools that we use for tables, which I think can also be classified in this party, right?
Yes,
It's just
we
like
love a
some of
garden
those
stool.
accents. Garden stools are like key. Think of Mark Sykes, all the blue and white that he uses. Those are garden stools, and you can use those in planters, mixed with other things. And I don't like a lot of your bigger pots. I think keep those uniform, but then I think you can mix in other ones, just to make it feel, especially like when you really have a green thumb.
Yeah.
You're really growing stuff. Like keep them all natural, but I think the variety is nice. But have like more of one thing than some of the other accents.
Yep.
Just for that continuity, I think.
Yep.
So, but like, a lot of times we're doing just like more earthen things, like kind of like our planter, but for exterior wise, where it's just, again, it feels like it's already been baked in the sun a little bit. So it's nothing too precious. So I like planters that are like that. And then they really contrast with the green and whatever you're putting inside of it. And then for the garden stools, I like the shine of a garden stool, the ceramic garden stool, that's not as matte as some of the other materials.
Yep.
I think the contrast is really interesting. It's like adding art out there. Where you don't
Or
have
I was going to
walls.
say it's like adding trim, like crown molding or great base molds, how those are higher gloss
The sheen
in
is
the paint
good.
scheme. It just, it feels, it also, I mean, I know I say this all the time when we talk about styling, but it adds that wetness to a very dry scene.
Yeah. Do you guys I'm curious what you guys do in your own yards before people come over. This Sunday we had people over, and I quickly watered all the planters so my all my dirt looked darker.
Oh yeah.
You know,
I like
and then
that.
just like, and we've talked about this, like, I like all the concrete you spray down. So like that feels clean too. But just back to that wetness, like you're just like ready to like, I don't know, things like feel like they're going to grow all of a sudden when you give it some water.
Yeah.
Same thing with the garden stools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just glosses it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's like a little piece of jewelry, a great accessory. And you can like put your finger down in the hole and pick it up and move it over. There was some decorator, I can't remember, was it Dorothy Draper or something, where they said everybody needs a place to put their drink down.
100%.
Especially if you're at a party, you know you're going through a line and you're carrying a paper plate and a plastic cup, and you need somewhere to put that down, because how else are you gonna eat that hot dog on your lap? You know.
Yeah.
So
You
I
gotta
love
hold it between your
Things get
knees, and then you have to play. Yeah.
Yeah,
We've all
and
done
you're
that.
sitting on a
And
white
then your kid
cushion.
jumps into the pool and you're like, oh shoot.
Yeah.
Diet Coke spills.
So that's what's so great about the
Yeah.
garden stool. It's this portable thing. You can either sit on it, or you can put your plate down on it,
That's pretty
your
chic.
drink down, your cell. We all have cell phones today. So when you're entertaining, you've got to have a lot of little spot tables, teak stumps, something. But I think the garden stool is like I think it's just such a beautiful, chic, kind of traditional.
Art.
Yeah. Or it can
So
be
good.
funky, or you can make it more Spanish, or it just gives a little bit of flavor to the
Sometimes they're
scene.
blue and white. Sometimes they're like red and white. Sometimes they're green. Like you can find honestly like any garden stool that will get along with your personality, and transition also from interior to exterior. You do want your style to translate
Yeah.
from one to the other. So find which one you are.
Yeah.
But it's
So
the jewelry. For sure.
Totally. So you're going to get some
love that.
ceramic accents in your big planters, and then you're also going to get it in your garden stools, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And I think also for planting things, I think terracotta, that baked earth thing that you were talking
Yes.
about, I really love
I
that.
love it
Like
so much.
tabletop, if you're doing a
Yes.
dining thing, having some of that planted, or you can do some big terracottas sort of mixed in with your ceramic pots,
Yeah.
just to sort of play with scale and give it a little bit of charm.
Yeah, and I think it looks pretty honestly with any exterior surface.
Yeah.
It's really pretty, whether you're rock, you're brick, anything. It just adapts, and it feels like it's in its element.
It's also
really good.
familiar.
Yes.
I feel like when we see terracotta, we're like, oh, hello, old friend, right? Like we know it, we understand it, and it just
Yes.
feels homey. Like you
Things are
kind of
gonna
want to
grow
do
there.
an herb garden in your window in terracotta. It's just so friendly.
All
I
my
love
herbs
it.
actually sit in a big terracotta pot.
Of course they
it's
do.
weathered, and I
Yeah.
put all the herbs in there, and it's just my favorite thing to pass by.
I love that.
So good.
But it smells good too.
It does.
Give them our fifth element.
Okay, you guys, the umbrella, the striped umbrella specifically. Y'all have to get one, whether you have a pool or whether you just have like a lounge space. Like we've added these in like a lot of our projects, and the ones that didn't do it, you're just like, gosh dang it, it's almost perfect. It just needed a striped umbrella. It adds just like such a crispness. It's like that bit of whimsy, that bit of like the Italian like coast landscape, right? Like it's just so good. You feel like you're in a Slim Aaron's photo shoot. You really do. It's so good. And like in that one in St. George, we had like this little, that one wasn't striped, but we did do like this like kind of green border along the base of it. So it
pretty.
has to have some detail. I
Yeah.
say striped just because it's so happy. We did a striped one for our Lover's Lane project in Dallas, and it was darling. And it's just so happy. It's like seeing candy outside in a really organized shop, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
It makes you feel like you're having a moment, right?
Yep, you're on holiday.
Yes,
Somewhere exotic.
totally.
I'm so happy for you.
Yeah, I mean, you could do the solid umbrella, but why would you?
I would.
Because then you take away that holiday feel.
Borophyll.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
We love a striped umbrella. So
yeah,
good.
When in Rome, get a striped umbrella. Wherever you are, get a striped umbrella. It will like make your day and make your summer, and everyone will talk about it.
Yes. Is there any fabric selections, tips, tricks, any striped colorway favorites, or
Green
anything?
and white. I really do. I think
Yeah.
also Steve Courtney is like, he's like a big advocate for the green and white, and he did
Yeah.
like this whole like, it was a very rustic cabana, and he did a green and white curtain
Oh, so good.
in that whole space, and I can't get it out of my mind. I cannot unsee that place.
Yeah.
So I love that. Black and white's always really pretty if you're more formal, you know, kind of the black and white furniture. But again, I think it's a good time to add color.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the green and white, the blue and white, I think is beautiful. It just kind of depends on your style. I don't know. There's so many different ones, and like you can even get them at like Serena and Lily. You know, like
Yes.
there's a lot of places where you can get these for not that much. That might last a season or two, but it's gonna like make the season or two. It's gonna
Yes.
be really, really fun and such a good backdrop for all your parties. The birthday parties.
And if you have one, you're probably going to use your space more.
Disneyland.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, like because you're like, who wants to go out there when it's 100?
That's what I think.
You know?
I feel like you're going to use your outdoor space if there's shade.
Mm-hmm.
If there's not shade, you're going to have that birthday party inside, and then you're going to let the little kids go out for as long as they can stand it, and then they'll come back inside again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I think the shade is going to keep the party out there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love that.
Umbrella. Do it.
Agreed. You guys, this was such a fun conversation.
Let's
Yeah.
go have a party.
I know. I feel like I'm ready now. That was so good. We'll have to share our favorite like drink recipes and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, before we say goodbye, we want to remind you about our complimentary home furnishing design services at Alice Lane. This is your chance to work with one of our bright, talented designers. They will put a trained eye on your space and make personal and custom recommendations on how to help any room, outdoor or indoor. So if you want your space to be able to live up to its full potential, this is totally free. We love the chance to work with you and give you our best work. So just go to our website to start the process. You're going to go to design services and then click on that home furnishing design link, and that will get you started filling out a little questionnaire, and our designers will reach right out to you. We cannot wait to bring your dream spaces to life. Until then, we're going to see you guys next time. Hey, thanks for listening. If you like our show, please leave a 5-star rating.